Hello, my name is Jody Perry. I'm the president and CEO of the Richland Area Chamber and Economic Development. I'm going to walk you through round 2 of our COVID-19 Small Business Emergency Relief Grant Program. We'll go over some of the guidelines, some of the eligibility requirements, how you can spend the money, and the timeline, and everything that you need to know to apply for our Small Business Emergency Relief Grants. So how did we get here? Well, Richland County and other communities received an allocation of the CARES Act federal funds earlier this year. The Richland County Commissioners approached the Chamber in July to work with them to create a small business grant fund because they knew so many small businesses were still struggling. Soon, we had others joining in, including the City of Mansfield, the City of Shelby, the City of Ontario, the Village of Plymouth, the Village of Lexington, and the Village of Belleville. In round 1 of the program, we assisted 225 businesses with just over $1.2 million in grants. On October 22nd, the Richland County Commissioners authorized another $1 million in small business grants. We used $325,000 to finish funding our round 1 applications, which leaves $675,000 to be granted in round 2 at the current time. A separate round of applications will be taken for 501c3 organizations to award a separate pot of $500,000, also provided by Richland County. So let's talk about who's eligible. First, you must be a for-profit business in Richland County. Or, and this is new for round 2, we are allowing certain types of nonprofits to apply. A 501c4, a C6, a C7, a C19, or a C23. Any form of business is eligible, for instance, a corporation, a sole proprietor, a limited liability company. If you're not a sole proprietor, then the business must be registered with the Ohio Secretary of State's office. New this time, you must have been in operation prior to February 28, 2020, and you will need to show proof of your business existence. New this time as well, we have raised the revenue cap. Businesses must have $4 million or less in revenues for 2019. Businesses must provide their employer identification number or the Social Security numbers of the owners with more than a 20% stake. We've also raised the eligible employee count. Businesses must have 40 FTEs or less. A full-time 40-hour employee counts as 1 FTE. A part-time employee less than 40 hours counts as half FTE. A 1099 contractor is looked at like an employee using the above definitions. And don't forget, a lot of businesses did this wrong in the first round. An owner or partner who actively works in the business should be included in the employee count. Businesses with 2 to 40 FTEs have a maximum grant amount of $7,500. Businesses with less than 2 FTEs have a maximum grant amount of $2,500. So what businesses are disqualified from the grant program? First, any business that is permanently closed and/or not intending to reopen following the pandemic. Please note we're not talking about a temporary closure, but rather a permanent shutdown of your business. Second, any business that's in receivership or bankruptcy is disqualified. Any business that is organized as a nonprofit corporation other than the ones that we noted before, which once again are a 501c4, a C6, a C7, a C19, or a C23 is disqualified. Again, if you are a 501c3, we are doing a separate round of applications. Also disqualified, any business that is operating as a skills game or entertainment device arcade. Any business that is operating as a sexually oriented business as defined in section 2907.40 of the Ohio Revised Code. Also disqualified, any financial institution that makes loans or issues credit to the public, which would include places like banks, credit unions, payday lenders, or other similar businesses. And finally, if your business received funding in round 1 of our grants program, you are not eligible to apply again. If you receive a grant, how can you use it? Well, broadly speaking, if it's something that's related to the interruption that was caused by the closures, or because you're facing uncertainty in your ability to pay for something due to the pandemic, and it's deductible as an ordinary and necessary business expense by the IRS, it probably can be paid for by grant funds. Let's talk about the most common things. Mortgage payments, rent payments, utility payments. These are for your primary place of business location. If you're working out of your home, you are not eligible to claim those 3 things. Health, property, casualty, and liability insurance payments are eligible. A vehicle and equipment leases or rental payments are eligible as long as they were leased prior to March 15th, 2020, which is the start of the pandemic. One of the most common things are salary and wages of employees that are employed by your business. You might have some other more unique costs that might have been related to having to alter something due to the pandemic, add things, that sort of thing. Those you can talk to our staff and we can tell you if they would be allowed. Additionally, a sole proprietor may use grant funds from the program to replace a portion of their lost revenue. In order to figure out what you can claim, go to your Schedule C for 2019. Line 31, you can claim up to 1/6 of that net profit as lost revenues. One thing to note, expenses must be incurred and paid between March 15th and December 11th, 2020. You can claim something that you've already paid. However, you cannot claim something that you have been reimbursed for by the Paycheck Protection Program or other federal funds. So, you're ready to apply. What's next? Well, visit our website, www.richlandareachamber.com. Under the Initiatives tab, you'll find the Small Business Grant. Click on the Apply Here for the Grant button. That will open at 9 a.m. on Wednesday, October 28th. The deadline to apply is 11:59 p.m. on Thursday, November 5th, 2020. And please note, your application must be fully completed and submitted by 11:59 p.m. to be considered. If you have opened the window but not completed it, it will not be accepted. So please make sure to have a plan to finish everything up by 11:59 p.m. on Thursday, November 5th. You should expect to spend about 20 minutes on the application if you have the materials gathered in advance. The very first page of the application will give you an overview of the information you need. I recommend gathering these numbers before you fill out the application. If you have your 2019 tax returns, that's a great place to start. We'll ask you for your annual operating revenue for 2019 and your annual operating expenses for 2019. We'll ask for your annual payroll expense for 2019. We'll also ask for your year-to-date operating revenues for 2020, as well as your year-to-date operating expenses for 2020. You will need to have a monetary estimate of lost revenue due to COVID-19 as of October 15th, 2020, as well as a monetary estimate of your increased business expenses due to COVID-19, also through October 15th, 2020. Also, we're going to ask you for your employee headcount as of 2 different dates, March 15th, 2020 and October 15th, 2020. And once again, don't forget to include yourself as owner if you are actively working in the business. A few additional things that you're going to want to have handy before you apply. You should have your business's employer identification number. If you're a sole proprietor, you'll need your Social Security number if you don't have an EIN. You'll also need the contact information for any business owners who have more than a 20% share of the business. And finally, you need your 3-digit NAICS code. NAICS is a system that many business owners aren't familiar with, but it stands for the North American Industrial Classification System. Basically, that's a fancy way of saying this is how the government tracks different kinds of businesses. So we're only looking for the first 3-digit. Your full NAICS code actually is 6 digits, but the first 3 kind of give us the category that you're in. So you can find a link to do that on the application on the Census Bureau website, or the easier way to do it is to actually Google the words NAICS code and a description of your business, such as NAICS code daycare, NAICS code florist, NAICS code restaurant. We just need the first 3 digits. If you have trouble, of course, just call the chamber office or email us and we would be happy to help you. So here's some best practice suggestions. Now that we've been through one round of this, here's some things that might help. First, we recommend take your time and be sure to answer all the questions completely. There is no rush to complete this. We have to rely on what you tell us to qualify and score your application. So it is really important that you have things correct. Of course, you must be truthful in your responses and certify that with the submission of your application. We will ask for backup documentation on many of these numbers. There's a section at the end that has a series of yes or no questions. Please take your time to read each one carefully and answer appropriately. This can result in ineligibility if something is not answered correctly. And if you're not understanding what we're asking, please just call the chamber office or send us an email and we'll be happy to walk you through it. Third, take the time to review your application before submitting. Did you report the right amount of employees? Did you include the right numbers on your revenue and expenses? If you find that you made a mistake on your grant application, please email us at grants@richlandareachamber.com as soon as you can. Explain the mistake and we'll look into it. Be patient and don't wait till the last minute to reach out if you think you did something wrong. Finally, there's no rush to complete this. The time of completion only factors into the review and decision-making process in the event we have a tied score and we are at the end of grant dollars. Certainly, earlier is better than later, but it doesn't matter if you get it in at 9:01 a.m. on Wednesday or 11:50 p.m. on the 5th, other than a tie. Lastly, I would tell you, in reviewing the applications last time, we don't use decimal points in our numbers, so make sure you round up or round down when you're entering numbers on the applications. So how is your application scored? Well, as you can imagine, last time we had over 200 applications submitted and we expect a similar amount this time. So we knew before we started we needed to make this as objective as possible, especially since this is a small town. We've developed a scoring process. It's actually based on a similar program over in Summit County and based on the data in the application that you're providing to us. We have a grant underwriting committee that is overseeing the methodology and how the scores are awarded. And the scoring will drive our funding allocation until the money is gone. There's 4 areas that we're scoring your business on. First, your business profile. We look at the length of time that you're in business and the years of experience for the owner. It starts to give us a sense of your business's depth of history and experience to weather the storm. Second, we'll look at your financial impact. What is the financial impact of COVID-19 on your business as a percentage of your 2019 operating revenue, which gives us a little bit of an understanding on the financial impact to your business. Third, we'll look at the employment impact. Of course, we want to be able to help you save as many jobs as possible. So we look at the number of FTEs that you have. For businesses with less than 2 FTEs, we look at a ratio of your payroll cost to your overall revenue. And lastly, on the sector and economic and community impact, We look at three things. First, is your business in a Jobs Ohio designated distressed zip code? Second, is your industry sector particularly vulnerable to COVID-19? And this is based on a Brookings study, which was published earlier this year. And lastly, whether your business is a disadvantaged business enterprise. That would be things like being a minority-owned business, or a woman-owned business, or a veteran-owned business. Please note that we're not requiring that you be actually certified in those areas. What happens after you apply for the grant? Well, your application will be reviewed and will make sure that you're eligible. And then it will receive a score based on the criteria we just talked about. We'll be announcing awards on Monday, November 16th, 2020. We may contact you in between there to ask some more information about what's included on your application. If you're selected for an award, we will ask for your final documentation, which will include an execution of a grant agreement that you'll sign with the Chamber, saying that you'll spend the money as outlined in the program. We'll also need a signed W-9, as well as a copy of the first page of your 2019 business tax return. If you're a sole proprietor, we'll need the first page of your 1040 plus your entire 2019 Schedule C. For those businesses that were formed in 2020 and do not have a 2019 tax return, we'll contact you to get evidence of your business's existence. Once those eligibilities are verified and your documents are all received, we'll issue a check for the grant as soon as we can. Typically, that's done within 7 to 10 days. We will need verification of the business expenses and what you spend it on by December 21st, 2020. Yes, this is a tight timeline. Those would be receipts or other proof of how the money was spent. A canceled check, a copy of a bank statement. We will need proof and we will contact you later for that. And please note, because this is public funds, we will be publicizing a final list of the grant recipients. Okay, there you have it. If you think of further questions that I haven't answered, please reach out to us. You can get us at email at grants@richlandareachamber.com or call us at 419-522-3211. The chamber's open Monday through Friday from 9 to 4 during COVID. Visit our website to start your application, richlandareachamber.com, and look under the Initiatives tab for the Small Business Grants Program. Remember, grants open at 9 a.m. on Wednesday, October 28th, and they close at 11:59 p.m. on Thursday, November 5th. Good luck, and thank you for your time.